Less than 24 hours, Georgians will be under a shelter-in-place order.
McDonald, though, said he did not know the man was handcuffed and was trying to use his foot to pin him to the ground so he could be handcuffed.
If your friends, neighbors, or local organizations are not complying, report them to us.
Howdy, everybody. Welcome to the Free Georgia Podcast. My name is Jake Green, joined by my co-host, Cat Hartley. Cat, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah. You're not in Atlanta right now, so are you enjoying your time outside of the big city?
Yeah, I'm in St. Simons right now, near the beach. Currently it is kind of stormy, but I'm hoping for it to get a little bit sunnier for the rest of the time I'm here.
Are you a beach-going person or a mountain person, or what kind of vacation spot do you normally like?
I'm 100% a beach person. I mean, I play.
Is it because you can play volleyball on the beach? I was gonna say, yeah.
That, and also I just like laying on the beach. I like being in the sun. I feel like I just look so much better and feel so much better when I'm at the beach.
That's fair.
So it's like it's in me. It's not just a preference. It's like my body wants it.
Got it. That is pretty funny to me. People are always like, well, I want to be in the sun, and it just somehow correlates to the beach when my mountain gets just as much sun as your beach does. So like you can,
but it's different.
You can get just as much. It is different. You're right. All right, y'all. We've got a guest that y'all are familiar with coming in today. His name is Brian Allen. He works a lot with LP Georgia, doing a whole bunch of stuff, including, actually, I'm going to bring up the website. Head on over to lpgeorgia.com and you can see some of his work, which is the Liberty Watch email subscription. You can get all the Georgia legislation that's being proposed or passed in the state, and these emails explain what they are, how it affects you, all that kind of stuff, so you can know what's happening before laws go into effect and maybe do something to stop them, because we don't really like new laws here at LP Georgia. So yeah, head on over to lpgeorgia.com. You can learn a whole bunch more stuff as well, get involved in a bunch of different ways. Yeah. Is there anything else we need to prep the audience about before Brian comes on?
Yeah, so the legislative session just ended on Thursday. So basically, Brian's just going to tell us about some of the bills that have passed and some of the ones that we are still keeping our eye on for next session.
Perfect. All right. Well, without further ado, let's bring on Mr. Brian Allen. All right. Welcome to the show, Brian. How you doing today, man?
Hanging in there, trying to recover from everything that happened last week.
Yeah, can you give folks out there a description and like of what exactly you were doing last week with the legislative session and everything?
Yeah, so last week was the final week of the legislative session with sine die, the last day being on Thursday. So I went to the Capitol at like 9 a.m. to be there when they were figuring out what bills to do that day, and I stayed until around like 5 p.m. and then went home and then spent the rest of the night until like 1:30 a.m. just watching the video streams. So yeah, it was a fun day.
So would you consider yourself like a political nerd?
Yeah, probably. A nerd would be a good way to describe it.
Because I have a hard time paying attention to things that I'm super passionate about. Like I'll pay attention, like really close attention to like the Defend the Guard Act or something like that. And I'll watch all the testimony and stuff like that. But to watch an entire day of a legislative session seems like too much. Is it too much for you, or do you enjoy it?
Definitely wouldn't say that I enjoy it. One of the nice things is when you're just watching the stream at home instead of being there live, you can skip through all like the fluff.
There we go.
Because there's lots of like, oh, we're going to have a resolution congratulating, the Boy Scouts on record popcorn sales or something.
Right. That's what we need to do while we're paying people to be in Congress is just congratulate random groups and organizations. That sounds great. Well, cool, man. Well, what all did you learn? And yeah, what should the folks out there know about some of the things that passed or didn't pass?
Well, one of the things that you'll definitely want to know about is the tax cut that passed. It's going to reduce Georgia's state income tax over time and also increases the standard exemption. So you'll start seeing that next year.
Okay, I like that. Which one was that? Was that, do you have the bill number on there?
Yeah, hang on. That was House Bill 463.
Nice. Well, that's awesome. We don't get too many of those where it actually cuts something. So that's a huge win.
Yeah, if you remember last year, there was a Senate study committee on eliminating Georgia's income tax.
I remember that. Yeah.
So there were a few proposals. None of the proposals came as far as actually eliminating income tax, but there was a proposal that had been more aggressive than what eventually passed. But there was a bunch of back and forth between the House and Senate over what they wanted to actually do, and this is what we ended up with. So,
gotcha.
Did they give a reason why they wouldn't go with the altogether cut of the tax?
Yeah. It's the old, well, we can't afford it thing. They get this idea in their head, like, well, we have this amount of spending for the state budget, and we can't cut that, so
yeah,
we can't do the income tax cuts that we want to do. And then they have their own agenda with wanting property tax relief, and so it was a whole.
Yeah, this we've talked about this before a bunch of times. Like once something's in place, it's really hard to get it removed because people get used to their budgets, people get used to their committees, people get used to all these things that they have, and they don't want to let them go, and they forget that life can be lived just fine without them. And so, yeah, this is why we got to keep fighting really hard to not let these kinds of things get passed in the first place, because once they are, it's very difficult to remove them. Yeah, there were a few others that you want to talk about today. What about can we talk about SB 33, because that we've had folks on this show that are very related to that one.
Yeah, 33. So that's the so make sure you're looking at the right thing here, because they changed it at the last minute. So SB 33 was like a hemp bill.
Yeah.
But now what they actually passed is it's the House's property tax bill. So they stripped out all the old language and put in new language.
Wait a second. It originally was proposed as something to do with hemp farming in Georgia, and it ended up being a property tax bill.
Yeah, so you need to look at the amendment number 3 from Senator Brass of the 6th.
Okay.
AM 590041. This is one of the fun things about tracking legislation, is when they do this kind of thing.
Dude, that's the most frustrating thing I've ever heard. What the heck?
Yeah, so like on the last day, because the original House proposal for the property tax was rejected by the Senate. So then they put in this at the last minute, basically, that's a bit less than what the House wanted, and then passed it.
And just completely didn't do anything with hemp.
Yeah, no, that's gone.
My goodness. I don't even know how it blows my mind that kind of thing is allowed to happen and like happens all the time.
Strictly speaking, it's not supposed to.
Oh.
But the problem is the people who decide whether or not it can happen are the ones doing it. So you'll get this sometimes where like someone in the minority in the House or Senate will make a point of order like, this amendment is not germane to the underlying bill. And then the majority would just overrule them. Like, no, it is germane because we say it is.
Wow. Because we say it is. Yeah. What great logic that is. Okay. So, yeah, can you just give us a quick overview of SB 33 again, and just let us know like what happened and where it ended up?
Yeah, so it did a few things. If you remember, the other year there was that statewide floating homestead exemption that passed,
Okay.
which was optional. So a bunch of local governing bodies opted out of it. What this bill does is make it mandatory now.
Oh,
So they're all forced to cap property tax increases to the inflation rate.
oh, okay.
It also allows them to further reduce property taxes through a local option sales tax, which is kind of like whatever, you're just shifting taxes around there. But
Right.
the big thing to take away is that it makes the homestead exemption mandatory now.
I like that. Yeah, and that's like, in an ideal world, we wouldn't be taxed, but I think most libertarians would be far more okay with a sales tax and no property or income tax, because anything you buy, generally speaking, is voluntary. Obviously, groceries and stuff. You can still grow your own food and everything, but most of the things that we consume these days are more luxury and more voluntary than anything. So shifting around taxes, I'm more of a fan of. I mean, I'd rather just get rid of them in general, but shifting them around to sales tax from the other sectors, I think, is far preferable to what we currently have. So at least that's a small victory.
It was kind of like the compromise that they came up with, because
the
Senate was focused on cutting income tax and the House was focused on cutting property tax, and they just got in their head they couldn't do both all the way that they wanted. So we kind of got halfway measures on both.
Gotcha. Perfect. Kat, was there another bill that we want to talk about today?
HB 651.
There we go.
Oh yeah, that's an exciting one. That's the automated school zone camera bill.
Yeah.
If you remember last year, we had the two competing bills. There was one that was going to get rid of them altogether. And then this one was originally a more scaled back, just regulating it. What they did is they came to a compromise and just stuck it into this one now. So it does a bunch of things around just like various requirements for these cameras, like they have to have flashing lights and approval and all that kind of thing. But the big thing is that it now requires a referendum to approve or renew contracts for these cameras. So if they want to keep using them, they actually have to put it to a vote. So you can get a majority of the people to come and vote and say, heck no, we don't want these cameras. Then they're gone for at least 3 years.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. That's a pretty big victory, because I think the vast majority of people do not want these cameras. If you look at the statistics, there was never really any deaths in a school zone or injuries in a school zone. These cameras haven't prevented that or haven't caught anybody who has injured somebody in a school zone with their vehicle. And so they're kind of just a waste of taxpayer money, and they end up automatically writing tickets to, I think in the first 4 months of 2024, it was 100,000 tickets in Spalding County alone.
It's very clearly for revenue is why they put these in.
Yeah. It has nothing to do with safety, but they're going to try to, when they do the referendum stuff, they're going to try to make it seem like it's for safety and not for revenue, which is going to be interesting to see if they can convince the folks out there that that's the case. If anybody out there knows about James Dutton, he's helpful over at the Banish Big Brother project, and he's done a lot of work in Spalding County and elsewhere in Georgia trying to get these school zone cameras taken down. And he works really hard at it, and he's a fantastic lawyer and does really good work in that area. So I would highly recommend going to check out Banish Big Brother and what they're doing, because those cameras, man, it's a third party company too, so it's not even the government that ends up getting all the data and all the photos and the fines and everything. And so when you do get fined, it's nearly impossible to contest it, and so you have to pay it. Basically, there's no other way around it, because it's some company based in, I think, Arizona or New Mexico.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. Like it gets shuffled around to out-of-state companies that then have their own service providers. So it's like moving from company to company before finally getting back. And it's
a mess.
Trying to figure out who's doing what is.
Yeah.
Especially if you're just a, regular person trying to get to work and you got slapped with this fine out of nowhere.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like they might not even be accurate, because generally with a like speeding gun where they clock your speed, those things have to be tuned to be accurate. They have to tune them with a tuning fork, and it's a very specific process. And these cameras that are in school zones, they don't tune them. They say they automatically tune themselves, which I don't know about that. Let's test that out and see if that's the truth. They don't offer any data proving that that's the case. But so you might not even be speeding in a school zone and still end up with one of these tickets, which is wild to think about. And then it's impossible to contest. So you're kind of just stuck at that point.
Yeah, they say they automatically calibrate themselves. It's like, well, according to who? Well, according to themselves. Well,
exactly. Yeah, it's like the government investigating the government. It's according to them, according to themselves. Great. Sorry, I'm drinking a lot of coffee this morning. All right, let's see. I think we've got a few more that we wanted to talk about. Kat, what was the next one?
I should have this up.
You should have this up.
Chill. Did we talk about HB 974?
No, not yet.
That's
the budget?
It's the budget, the big budget. The one thing,
big beautiful budget.
The big beautiful bill. It's the one thing they're actually required to pass during the session. They always leave it to the last minute and pass it on the final day.
So people can't contest it or change it, or why?
Well, there's kinds of, as you might imagine, like negotiations going on behind the scene. Like you've got the governor, you've got the House, and you got the Senate, and they all have different priorities. And so they're all wrangling over what they want to spend money on throughout the session.
Yeah.
So it's a bunch of like negotiation and, okay, we'll do this if you do that kind of stuff.
Right. So what happened with the budget this time? How much did it increase? Because I'm assuming it increased.
They're talking about revised revenue estimate of 43.6 billion, an increase of 15.6% over the original FY 2026 budget.
Got it.
What
So
was last
15%.
year's budget?
I don't have the original FY 2026 budget in front of me. I do have the amended, which they also passed this year.
15% increase. That's not a small number. That's why they couldn't get rid of the income tax right there.
Well, if
What's
they
that?
fix all the potholes and make the roads like good and like maybe fix the traffic, then sure, like I think that would be a good use of the money.
The fun thing is most of that is paid for either through your local property taxes or the gas tax anyway.
Yeah. So that none of that's going to be fixed.
So I do have to correct, when I was talking about that increase, that was for the amended budget. The FY 2027 budget is an increase of 1.95% over the original FY 2026 budget.
Oh, so 1.9. That's not.
So
big.
which is $738 million.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
I mean, it's a lot of money, but percentage wise, it's smaller than 15, which is good. Interesting. Yeah. Everything that people in Atlanta or in the state of Georgia would complain of, like, would be top of mind, first thing that you'd complain about as far as how the whole government operates and your everyday thing. None of that's actually covered by any of these things. That's all property taxes, gas tax, like all the potholes, all the crappy traffic, everything that's problematic with the roads. None of that is None of that is what they're talking about. That's not going to be included in the budget. That's going to be the gas tax and everything. But
yeah, the big thing that they put into this budget this time is a new early childhood literacy funding.
Oh, great.
Which then is House Bill 1193 for what they're actually doing. So they're putting these literacy coaches in public schools.
Because
We'll see how
our
that
literacy
works.
is so bad. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I think what the graduation rate is pretty terrible in Georgia. It's not that great. And the fact that they can't get kids to learn how to read and write, going to school for 7 hours every day during the school year, like, how much more time do you need in order to get, like, my 3-year-old niece already knows how to read. Like, she can spell things, she can write things. How is this such a problem in the state of Georgia that by the time kids are in 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, they don't know how to read or write? Like,
I mean, it's like one of the fundamental problems with public schools run by the government. Like, the amount of time that they waste is pretty incredible. Like, if you ever look at a homeschooling program that has the same amount of information they're giving to you in the public schools, it's a fraction of the time that it takes up during the day.
Yeah. Dude, my favorite time, I was homeschooled for 1.5 years in the middle of moving somewhere when I was growing up. That was the absolute best. I got to just power through all of the stuff. Like, I learned everything that I would learn in school in about an hour. And then I got to go play in the woods. It was the best. Like, that's such a better route. I don't understand how it's such a difficult problem. And they're still giving homework. Like, you still have to go home and do homework even after being in school for 7 hours. I think that's bizarre. And then you're still not learning. I think that is, like, nothing against the teachers. I'm not sure it's their fault. I'm pretty sure it's the curriculum.
It's the phones and the iPads.
Ooh, yeah. No, it's probably that too. Yeah. Yeah, there's probably some of that, but I'm also assuming there's a lot of red tape. There's a lot of things these teachers can't do, aren't allowed to do, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, no, you're probably right, Kat. It probably
They did ban phones in, like, elementary and middle schools. There was a bill this year to do it in high schools too. I'm not sure if that passed. I have to check.
Interesting.
I don't think they're going to be able to do that.
Good hope.
I just know it's useful to have, like, because you can play Kahoot and stuff, and, like, if y'all have ever played that.
What the frick is Kahoot?
It's like this game thing, like you can make, like, a quiz, and all the you can make it so people can log on to it and answer the quiz. I'm doing such a bad job explaining it, but, like, they'll put the quiz on the PowerPoint or on the smart board, and the questions will pop up, and the kids will, like, answer the questions, like, in a certain amount of time.
I think they might have exemptions for education related usage, but
okay. But I mean, if you have it, the kid's gonna be on it anyway, so you might as well just allow it. You know what I mean? Like, I would still, people are still gonna be on there. If it's in the classroom, the kid's gonna be on it regardless.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, when I was in high school, we didn't. Well, actually, cell phones kind of got popular as I was in high school, but before they really got popular, we used our calculators, and we would download games onto our Texas Instrument calculators, and we would get in trouble.
TI 83 plus.
TI 83 plus, baby.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm right there with you. That's what we
That's
did.
how old we are, Kat. That's how old we are. So
I can still remember my first cell phone. It was just a basic, just a phone. You know, that's
all my friends had.
It made calls.
Yeah, my friends had the Nokia.
Was one of the sliding ones.
Oh my gosh, that's That's way past the phones that we had. mine was just a brick. Everybody had the good Nokia phones that would last if they got run over by a car. I had the like knockoff version because my parents were cheap, and they gave me this crappy little plastic piece of junk. But yeah, buttons the size of my finger. Like it was great. Thoroughly enjoyed it. All right. So talked about the budget. Let's see. I think there was.
It was like SB 214 was the one.
Yes.
You
Oh,
wanted to
yeah.
talk about.
Yeah,
That's the big one that didn't pass.
Yeah.
Which is going to cause problems now. Because you remember back in 2024, they passed a bill to get rid of the QR codes. And that goes into effect this July.
QR codes.
Well, for context, this is about the.
Oh, yes. So this is about. So if you've ever voted in Georgia and you go into that like machine, the BMDs, and then prints out your ballot, you look in the bottom, it has that QR code.
Yep.
That's what the scanners actually look at to see what you selected.
Yeah.
So they
not transparent whatsoever.
Yeah. So voters have no idea what that actually says. There's no way to verify that it's actually determined, that it's actually reading what you picked when you went to vote. So to be clear, getting rid of these QR codes is a good thing, in my opinion.
Yes.
The problem is that they never put in place a replacement for what they're going to do instead. So they're going to outlaw the current system, but they never set up what's going to happen instead. So SB 214 was going to push the deadline for getting rid of the QR codes back, and then allowed them to set up a new hand-marked paper ballot system. Like you have on-demand printers, so you can print out the different ballot configurations for the different kinds of voters who come in, and you do it that way. But they didn't pass it. The House passed it, and the Senate went home instead. So now, after July 1st, no one's entirely sure what's going to happen when midterms come up.
Interesting.
So they're either going to have a special session of the legislature to deal with it, or it's going to get challenged in court, or it's going to be pandemonium when elections actually come around.
Yeah. I would expect pandemonium because I can't imagine they'd have a special legislative session just for that. And if they did, I can't imagine they'd actually get anything done. So interesting. I mean, it was already a mess in Georgia. That was one of the problem states back in 2020, I think it was. Maybe even 2024. I don't remember. But interesting. Yeah, because when I was voting in Georgia, that QR code really gave me pause because the number of times I've scanned a QR code and it took me to the wrong place is substantial. So the computer making a mistake and printing the wrong QR code, you could have voted for somebody that you vehemently opposed. There's no way to confirm it. And I think that's one of the biggest problems with this electronic system. I really am a huge advocate for going back to the paper ballots where you got to punch it with the hanging chads and everything. I miss punching the ballots. I don't like this digital crap. I don't think it is reliable, and I don't think you can't verify it. Just what we were saying before. I have no idea what that QR code says, so I have no idea if my vote is actually going into that box.
I don't think they're going to go back to the punch cards. I remember.
Come on.
I remember showing voters how to do them, but what they would do is how you have the absentee ballots now. You just have the ovals that you fill out. That's what it would be, and then you have optical character recognition on the scanners to actually record it.
That's not as fun. That just reminds me of taking the friggin' SATs and crap. I don't want to do that again.
You don't love Scantron? Come on.
I freaking hate Scantron. Well, Brian, this whole legislative session, man, you've been keeping up with Liberty Watch, been sending out emails. How's that been? How's that going?
It's definitely been draining. If Georgia's legislative session were year round, there's no way I could survive. Just be insane. Yeah. But yeah, we have another issue of Liberty Watch coming out either today or tomorrow, depending on when I get it finished, going over what happened last week.
Nice.
And there'll be another edition summarizing everything that happened during the session, like all the bills that passed. And then the governor has 40 days to either sign or veto everything that came out. So we'll see what happens. He also gets a line item veto on the budget. So you never know.
Oh. Interesting. Okay. Well, Brian, I appreciate your work, man. Like I'm not in Georgia anymore. I don't keep up with the legislation there anymore. But when I was, that was my primary source for knowing what the heck was going on with the legislation and everything. So yeah, I know it's a lot of hard work. To me, it sounds like my worst nightmare, but I really appreciate that you do it and that you're so dedicated to it. Kat, do we got anything else to ask him before we get out of here?
That's all I got. I do also appreciate you, Brian, doing all the hard work and stuff. I couldn't
Heck
do
it. Yeah, we need.
Well, I
folks
appreciate
like
you doing the podcast.
Heck yeah,
Aw.
man. All right,
I feel
y'all.
like that's easy compared to what you do.
Well, I mean, yeah, parts of it are probably much easier. Parts of it are probably not so easy. Yeah, everybody out there, go check out lpgeorgia.com, sign up for the Liberty Watch, know what's happening in your state. If you're watching this outside of the state of Georgia, go to lp.org and find your state affiliate, find your local affiliate, get involved, help spread freedom and liberty. And yeah, I think that'll do it for this episode. And we'll see you next time on the Free Georgia podcast. Peace.